Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Just Another Kill Team podcast, connecting Kill Team communities across the globe. If you're passionate about the tactical skirmish game that brings together strategy, lore, and creativity, you are in the right place. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and stay updated with our latest episodes. If you want to support the show, check out our Patreon. Your support means a lot to us. Follow us by using the social media links in the podcast description for all the latest news, and be sure to leave a review to let us know what you think. Thanks for tuning in. Here's today's episode.
Yeah, I mean, we're back with Ace, the new World Championships of Warhammer winner. It's been a long journey, right?
Yeah, right. Be a really, really, really long journey. But yeah, I am super excited and and also happy, to be here again.
Yeah, I mean, you've been on the grind for a long time. You know, everyone who's played Kill Team, I think, who has been following like competitive Kill Team for a long time, obviously knows you. You've been on our podcast a bunch of times talking about elves, talking about, you know, all sorts of random stuff. And this year it was the elves. And you've been playing elves probably the whole year, it feels like.
It feels so, yeah. I did a bit of Sanctifiers here and there, but yeah, mostly elves for this year. Yeah.
And, you know, Mandrakes, I don't think were on people's radars coming into Worlds, but obviously I saw you play them at the World Team Championship in the middle of the year. You know, your team at that World Team Championship had 2 elf teams.
Yeah, we have Harlequins and Blaze of Cain.
Yeah, but no Mandrakes.
Not Mandrakes. Not on that meta, no.
Was that actually a thing where you were expecting, where you wanted to try Mandrakes, or was it mostly as the meta shifted over with the patches that you switched on to Mandrakes?
So for me, Mandrake has been my favorite kill team, like probably the kill team that I have much more games on. I love them, but sadly, sometimes you just cannot play them because the meta is not right. On the WCW, I feel confident against the top meta teams like Deathwatch and Canoptech. So I was trying a little bit something like a bit different, and I bring them. I was really happy to be able to show them and to play with them because I love the girls. I love my Mandrake, so I'm really glad it works out.
Yeah, the Mandrakes are super duper sick. So I'm curious, what was keeping them down before?
So they have a rough matchup on WTC. They have a rough matchup against Raveners and against Blaze of Cain. So the meta wasn't feeling super right, and against Goremongers too. So the meta at that time wasn't feeling super right. And of course, with the new change with the new tag ops, flank has been a big improve for them. So yeah, Mandrakes are always known as being one of the best teams to score tag ops. Last season with surveillance and beacons. But now flank is making them way better than they were before because they don't need to spend APLs on doing nothing but killing people, which made them super cool.
Yeah, they've always remained kind of this weird elf team that doesn't necessarily have to fight you or shoot against you. And, you know, when their best strategy was standing on top of the Vulcus stronghold, taking pictures of people and surveilling it completely safely, you know, at the first World Championships last year, we all found out, like, oh, I guess Mandrakes can just stand on top of the second floor vantage with 2 Mandrakes and just take pictures of people, and there's literally nothing you can do about it. And that was the meta strategy back then. Obviously, a lot of things have changed, and Mandrakes got a lot of value out of all of their nasty tricks as everything else kind of went down around them, right?
Yeah, they are probably one of the most creative teams in of Kill Team. Because since they can teleport wherever they want, they can do a lot of creative stuff like teleport, throw a stun, teleport, dash, pick up a point if they have 3 APL, which is possible. I don't know. They have so many tricks, so many different things they can do. They are really a super interesting and super enjoyable team to play.
And how did they compare to the other elf teams that you've played? Because obviously you were playing Blades of Cain.
Blades of Cain.
You played Void Dancer Troop at the World Team Championships. You probably have a lot of experience on those. Yep. How would you compare the Mandrake's playstyle to the other elf teams that have historically floated around?
So if Blades of Cain are, or especially advances, have less tricks, but they are more solid teams, like Intercessor, comparing to Marines. If Blades of Cain are Intercessors, they are not alike, but just to make it a funny comparison, Mandrakes will be Phobos. Like they have many tricks, they are more fragile sometimes, because they can be tanky too. If you set up correctly, they can be super tanky with the Balefire, with the leader, just a scratch, etc. They can be incredibly tanky, but they are less straightforward than the other elf teams. Like with Harlequins, with Boy Dancers, they are, I think, more straightforward team. You charge, kill something, and then shoot into another one, or do stuff like that. With Mandrakes, we have a joke in Spain that they, because I make preparing for the last WTC, I make a little bit of a rant with Mandrakes, and I say that they were like best bits because they are sometimes unidimensional. You can only do something. You can shoot or you can charge, but you cannot do both. Um, but yeah, they are probably the fastest team in the kill team, pretty much, because they can pre-dash and then do whatever. So they are super fast. They are tanky enough with the deploys and with the stuff like that, Balefire, leader, etc. So if you put all the pieces in motion, they can be a really different team than the other elves. Corsairs have more tricks, more mobility, more flexibility, I will say, but they are more alike than Mandrakes than the others. And Jota is like a way different team. They have more damage than you, but you have more tricks and more mobility. They are probably Dark Elves. Jota have the most power spike possible, but they are more limited than Mandrakes, I would say.
Yep.
So,
For anyone that is wondering, Hoda is Hand of the Archon.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the other half of the Drukhari pantheon.
Yes.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you talk about Corsair Voidsguard as, more powerful, because each individual operative has more rules baked into it.
Mhm.
But if you lose one of them, any strategy that you have around that or tactic you have around that kind of like disappears into the ether. Whereas
Yes.
the Mandrakes, you have 9 of them and 4 of them are exactly the same, or 3 of them are exactly the
Yep.
same. So there's a little bit more interchangeability, which can be nice.
Yeah, and especially for Mandrakes, if you lose an specialist, it hurts you a lot. Especially if you lose the Dirsmo early, it can hurt your game a lot. But other than that, you have 4 warriors that are pretty much the same, and they are super solid because they all have the Soulfire bolters and power swords, pretty much, because you are always going to be in shadows. Otherwise, you are playing Mandrakes really, really bad. So yeah, they are solid enough to do the stuff they need to do, and you don't mind if you lose them, because then you will have your specialist on the back line chilling. So yeah.
And for anyone who's curious about picking up Mandrakes, you mentioned that there's only a handful of specialists, and you specifically mentioned the Dirgemaw, which is the injury guy that also has the ability to strat gambit, pick someone else, and then go ahead of them during the turn order, as long as you attack that person. Yes. Is that the most powerful operative? Is it the leader? Is it the chooser of flesh whose kills give you an extra APL? Like, which operative are you using as a strategy piece, and which where you have a plan for where he's going to go, which operative he's going to pick, and which operative are you doing more tactical stuff with on, like, when you see an opening, you send a warrior in. I assume the warriors are probably the more tactical pieces because they're repeatable and they're all the same, but I'm just kind of curious if there's other specific operatives that you have these plays set up for.
So the thing with this Dirsmo is that increase her value the more the game passes. So the longer she is alive, the best for you, because on the first and second turning point, you are probably injuring someone, making some threats, but just doing nothing more, because there are a lot of operatives still on the kill zone. But when the games progresses and there are less and less and less operatives on the kill zone, there is way more windows of opportunity to make advantage of the other ability, where you can go first and you can select someone that is isolated and kill him, and then go back to conceal or move or whatever. And for the people that need, for the what is the name?
Night Fiend.
The other one. the big sword girl.
Chooser of the flesh.
The chooser. So the chooser of the flesh, you look for 3 APL to try to hunt someone with 3 APL. If you hunt someone with 3 APL, cool. If you can't, then you try to get stuck in the charge someone that has activate and stay there, maybe kill that model on counteract. And they cannot charge you normally because you will fight first and get more APL from that play. So they are pretty afraid of trying to charge the chooser. And other than that, if she can get 1 APL or 2, that's super cool. That's enough. That's not really big tech in there. If he can farm you 1 or 2 APL, then the team becomes a really big monster. You need to take care of her, but you don't want to have her on the very, very back line because you need that kills at some point. And for me, the most tanky and the most tech piece you have is your leader with a Balefire token. She can tank whatever. Like, there is no way you can kill her on combat unless you are a specialist marine. And even then, with the Just a Scratch, there is risk for the marine with the Just Scratch and shock because she also has shock. And fighting first is difficult to try to kill her. And if you try to shoot her with the Wildfire token and Just a Scratch, it's really, really, really difficult to remove her from the battlefield. And she even can charge you. Then she can charge you and heal. So it's a really difficult, really nasty model to deal for the opponent. And of course, since she is on the middle of the battleground of the kill zone on the turning point 1 and 2, she should be able to charge your backline, and then you will get the nasty ability to not activate at a lot of times. So it's a really
you can, ruin someone's tempo if they have a plan for I gotta get this midboard operative into my opposing backline. If the Mandrake Night Fiend is sitting there and she's throwing a stun or she's just hanging out, then every time your opponent goes to have a plan, they might just trip basically and have to send someone else, which would be very, very frustrating. And I know I definitely heard about it at Worlds where people were like, man, this is really annoying to have to deal with this on every operative for every activation throughout a turning point. So if Mandrakes are perceived as too strong, that would probably be something that I would expect gets changed.
I agree. It's probably one of the most toxic or most difficult mechanic to deal with, and I think Mandrakes can work with that tool. I don't think Mandrakes are super boosted at the moment. I understand that they might get nerfed because of WCW, where we are 3 Mandrakes on the top 16.
That's true. We had, I think, 4 Mandrakes players out of 130 odd players, and 3 of you made it into the top 16.
Yeah. To be honest, the 3 of them were Netra, Adrian, and myself. So not really good players piloting a really good faction. So
actually, there's like a fun little thing that happened between Netra and Adrian in the mirror match, which is a good representation of like at a high level what sort of things people are spending time on at Worlds. Where they were on map 1 for Tomb World. There's a long hallway with the breach points and a door. And Netra gets to side with the door. Adrian gets to side with the 2 breach points. And he sets up a shadow portal right in the middle of the door. I walk by and I see, there's a shadow portal. They're trying to see whether or not a model has visibility from a teleport. And I tell them, you need specific models because obviously head positions and all of these tiny little micro things matter. So I walk away. I come back. There's now a chooser of the flesh in the middle of the door frame. And we're looking on both sides to see where there's an actual spot to place one of Adrian's Mandrakes because Netra doesn't want a clown car of Mandrakes to be inside the box. And I think they spent like 10 minutes of clock time, of Netra's clock time, to figure out exactly how many models could show up in that room.
It's a good spend of time. You need to know that. You need to know how many Mandrakes are going to teleport there. So that's fine.
Yeah, but it's like an interesting little thing at the upper end. Like, what are people spending 10 minutes of time on? Whereas like, when I see people play in more casual settings, people are spending a lot of nitpicking time on like, am I moving 7 inches on my 9-inch move? And you're like, that's not really a good use of your your time.
Yep.
So obviously we're not just here to talk about your win at the World Championships of Warhammer, because obviously people can find that if they want to. Me and Jason, we've been doing this for a long time. We've been trying to share little bits of the community for a long time, and you've been a big part of it for a long time. So kind of, you want to walk us through a little bit of your personal journey through like the 4 or 5 years of Kill Team, just because
Sure.
you were there at the first big LVO, I think, and then you've been in the background in
Yes.
Spain, you've been
Yeah.
at all the WTCs, so kind of your personal,
Yeah.
a little bit of your personal philosophy on Kill Team, because obviously I'm sure some of your strategy and community decision making things have changed over time, and it's probably it'll be nice to hear what it's like at the top from someone who's been there the whole time, grinding
I would say
away
that.
and trying to make it to the top slot.
So my journey begins starting playing Kill Team on the COVID with my brother, Daniel Marcos. So that year, with all the COVID and not many people, to be honest, playing Kill Team, and I go to the LBO and I won this big event which was outside of Spain. So when two Spanish guys, being Adrian, a Spanish guy but living in the States, were something like a shock for everybody, I think, because they put Spain on the news. They put people start to understand that Spain were playing different or were playing in a way that has a huge success. Because also I think from the Carlos and Carpio also get into the top 8 or top 16, I think, which was like really big for all of us. So after that, I get the number 1 ATC with my brother being the number 2, which was one of the biggest things for me in the world. Being able to share this with my own family was amazing. It was the time that the custodes were super broken.
For anyone who doesn't remember those days, you probably don't want to remember those days. Because let me tell you, a custodian in the back line with a shield or a spear blowing up your dudes on turn 1, not really the most engaging world of games.
No, not a fun thing to. No. The Brotherhood of the Demigods. Oh my god.
Those were crazy days. People ask like, "Oh, what's the most busted team?" I'm like, it's still probably unreleased Custodes. You can maybe fight against them, but it's not fun.
Right. Well, there was especially because we have so many compendium teams. Like they were way weaker than that
Most of the
Custodes.
compendium teams could not hold a candle to a double parrying lethal 5 Custodian in your backline on turn 1 with
double moving.
And you're like, what am I supposed to do?
No. So yeah, that's where the community starts. To be honest, we have been playing Kill Team 1 for long, for even before I arrived to the community. Kill Team 1 was big enough or super big on Spain.
Was this the older version of Kill Team that was like mini 40K?
Yes, the mini 40K is not a good game, but we have enjoyed them because Spain, we are stuck for skirmish game. We have a big community of Underworlds. Whatever skirmish game you have, we have even our own game being Infinity. Yes, yep. So it's like a big community. But after the first version of the new Kill Team, the Kill Team 2, the community explodes. We get like a super big amount of people, and I think for 1 or 2 years we have been the community with most players in the world, which is crazy for a 40 million people country. Is really crazy. And yeah, after that we go. The first go to the New Mexico, the first non-official WCW tournament.
It was the first set of golden tickets that GW started doing. There's a small 8-person Kill Team event. That was the one where I went from I think Chicago Open. I won with Hunter Clade, and that was like the first small actual international world championships.
It was an United States Open, but to be honest, it was the first time all people from different communities, international communities, goes together, and so we meet together. We have like a super. It was a really cool event, to be honest. For me, it was a really good way to know the community, and all the people in that event grow into being big people from the community. John from Kanjurola Creed, yourself, Travis, Orion, Carlos, etc. All of them has been a reference in the community. Adrian, so a lot of people from different people. Kellen, so I can keep going. All the 8 people on that event were a reference and have been being a reference from there. So in that first event, that was the closest I get to win a big event of WCW. But Orion beats me twice. In which was
Actually, this is a fun one for anyone who doesn't know. That first small 8-person tournament, GW was still kind of in the process of figuring out what they wanted those tournaments to look like. So it was actually a double elimination bracket.
I love them. Yeah.
Yeah, similar to a lot of fighting games do it, where you have to fight. If you lose once, you can lose one more time before you're actually all the way out. So we played double elim, and Gellerpox was just a brutal monstrosity back then.
I was playing Hunter Glade, and it was a terrible matchup. I still managed to win one, and then on the second one he beats me. But it was awesome. I am a little bit sad that Orion didn't get his name on the boulder that was promised at that time. Because I think he earned it. We were playing on the top notch of players at that time, and he earned it. He wants that, and it was really, really cool event. And
we're also doing a meta cut that basically, Orion has remained the only player really. I mean, for a brief stint, Canyon Roller Crit was also playing Gellerpox, but Orion was the OG Gellerpox person. He was playing Gellerpox basically in the background of the last couple years of Kill Team. We're like, Gellerpox isn't good. Except for that one dude over here in the Northeast terrorizing his local.
He has been terrorizing this local, and when he goes out, he is still terrorizing other people in the international. So he's been a monster. Whatever he plays, he's a super cool and super good player. So I was And after that, the next tournament, I think it was one of the first time I was beat so hard in that tournament. So because I lose against, what's his name, the guy from Florida.
Landon? That was the next world championship?
No, it wasn't Landon. It wasn't Landon. I don't remember the name. Sorry. He was a guy playing Earth Commandos, and I got so many memes because he beats me on the first round, and on the second round I get Alexa with Chaos Cult. Which also beats me.
World Champions of Warhammer, where Chaos Cults were at their
it was Chaos Cult and Commandos, the fast deployment. The 3 Commandos fast deployment playing Octarius.
Triple sneak
back in the old days.
That was like a super crazy moment in the meta.
Let's put a pause for any of the newer players who don't know what this era of Kill Team was. This is back when we were playing on Octarius, so we're playing on those orc scrap piles that were very popular. This is like the first 2 years of Kill Team used that. We also had some in the dark, if I remember correctly.
Yes, in the dark.
I was playing as a filler then. And
yes, you were,
the meta strategy for Commandos was that you could forward deploy multiple operatives on your strat gambit phase. So the strategy was you line up 3 Commandos, 1 with a dynamite, 2 with frag grenades, because you still had to manually equip your operatives back then. And then you would wait for the Chaos Cult to make a mistake, and then you would throw a bomb in deployment and pray that was good enough to get you the opening.
Yeah, and for other, I was playing Inquisitorial Agents at that point, and they weren't ready. They weren't enough in that meta. I make a mistake on choosing them, but I love them. I wasn't a big fan of Commandos, and I wasn't a big fan of Chaos Cult. So I was like, I will play this, and I get so stomped on that 2 games. And it was a lesson for me to stay humble, because of course I don't get into the top 16. I think that year was the year with the redo of the round. I think so.
That was the one where the top 16 had a reset because there was an error in pairing, so they had to go back and reset the pairings, and that was the long night.
The long night for, I think Orion was playing.
There was an Orion Adrian game that went to 2 a.m.
Because back then, son, the games were 4 hours. There was less rounds, so it was a really, really crazy tournament. I still enjoy it, but I think it was really good to meet the community, and it was getting bigger and bigger. To be honest, I think we had a 70 players, something like that.
Player tournament. I think we went from 8 to 70, and that was the first year we moved to Atlanta, and that was really a first big coming of like all these other countries and kind of a little bit more of the spectacle of Worlds.
Yeah. And after that, the community in Spain was still being stronger, being bigger. We have 2 or 3 big international tournaments on TTS. that we managed to win against United States, Russia, stuff like that. If I remember correctly. And that year after that Atlanta, I think it was WTC, which was the first tournament of teams from nations, which was a blast for I think everybody that has lived a tournament or a WTC. We all have a blast in different ways. People meeting other people from other countries, an event being held in Europe, a big event. And the place, the beer are cheap. The place is beautiful. You have been there now, Travis, and I think the Mechelen is one of the most beautiful little towns in Europe, and it's really enjoyable.
It's a fun little European town that feels like a European town. It's got the cathedral right in the town square. Yep. It's got all the different small bars, and they're all like, I think it's like $2 for a beer.
Yes, so it's a really good place. If you can manage to go, it's a really good place because this year WTC is going to be again on Mechelen. So if you can try to fill up a team, because we want some states representation.
Yeah.
This first year,
it's one of those towns where you can actually, wherever you're staying, you just walk to the the tournament venue, which is kind of nice.
Yes. It's really nice, and they have this big river. It's really beautiful. So the first year we have the United States team with Jimmy Kelly, which was forging his own legend, Chris Bacci, etc. Adrian too. That tournament, I am really proud of that tournament because my team managed to win that, and for me it was enough for a trajectory. Like I have win this as a captain. I am fine. This is enough for me. But still, I managed to get a golden ticket and go back to Atlanta this year with what I was bringing that year. Oh, of course, Warkoven. It was the last year.
This was day zero of this edition of Kill Team, where my God, we looked at the rules and we're like, wow, Legionary, Inquisition Agents, Warp Coven, all look very strong.
Very strong to be soft with a war. So I was playing Warcoven. Sadly, I get removed from the competition with Alberto Cortés, who wants me on the first round of the top 16. Another Spanish fella, and it was good enough.
Kills.
And and for the third year, this year, so last year Alexa beats Haba on the finals, and this year Dance beats Escu on the finals. So for the third year, being my first me against Orion, Haba against Alexa, and Escu against Dan, we get into the finals, but not win the whole event. So still it was missing for the Spanish community the WCW.
So for this whole journey, was it a lot of personal pressure, or did you feel like the community pressure was a big drive, like a big push for you to keep improving and keep finding a new direction? Because obviously the Spanish players have been very good for a long time, but you guys have just barely missed the top spot. So going into this fourth year, did you feel like there was extra pressure for all the players, or did you guys just this is just another tournament, we're just going to play our best?
I wouldn't say pressure. I would say motivation. Like we were pretty motivated to try to win this thing after all these 3 years. We're trying our best. Like still, I don't think we have this event is like an exhibition, and it's because it's a really difficult event because you can have like a good event and it was ruined because you lost one game on the top 16 and that's it. That's it. You have one mistake or one bad roll of dice and whatever, and you can lose that game. For example, for Netra, it was like he wasn't able to roll a 3 on a 5 dice against the spider. So it happens. It can, even if you play at your top level, you need to have some luck. You need to have some mojo going on for you. And of course, on my finals, I get the snake eyes on Dan's tremor. So you need to have some luck to win this event for sure. So we were pretty motivating to trying to, of course, when we get five guys on the top 16, we were really motivated to try to bring the trophy home finally. And lucky for me, it was me. But to be honest, it could have been any of the other Spaniards because we have been playing a lot, and the D level is super high between all of them. So any of them, Escu, Netra, whoever can have the trophy instead of me. I am of course happy to be me, but it's a community effort, to be honest, because there is no way, as I said in my interview, There's no way my level will be high enough if I don't have a community where I can play, where I can test stuff, where we can talk or speak about everything, super open. We don't keep any secrets to ourselves. Like I have been playing, I don't know, for example, Mandrakes. I was speaking with Netra, and he said, I think the Mandrakes has some legs, and he told me, and it was like super interesting because I love the team, and I started playing. Maybe if Netra wasn't there, I would have bring something different, and it would have not win the event. So I am just happy to be part of that community that keeps growing and growing and be super healthy and super fun to play against.
Actually, that's a fun note because if Netra hadn't picked up the team a little bit, got you interested, maybe he also wouldn't have played as well because he wouldn't have had one other person kind of pushing the boundaries of the Mandrakes before the World Championships, right?
Yep. And we play a way different style. Netra being super aggressive, me not so much. So it's really interesting how we have that feedback going on and on. So yeah, it's really good to be in.
You have a piece of Netra's game that you specifically remember hearing him say that you're like, oh, I should incorporate that in my game?
Yes. So there is some tests. We have been training against Brew Brothers, and he told me that on turning point 2, you need to spend the charge on conceal, which is something you wouldn't spend like ever. And when I play, I didn't spend it, and I was like at all times thinking I should have spent this CP on this. Like there's this touch with against orders that you need to have this, because then if not, the Magus will just eradicate you from the existence. And of course, against other ords like Bloodeth, I use it and it works. So yeah, you have this kind of discussions going on that works.
So this is something that you normally wouldn't use because when you go for a charge on Mandrakes, normally you're thinking, I'll have a 4-up save. I've already done the job with my power sword when I go in and kill a guy. If I get shot up a little bit, it doesn't really matter. But then that script is flipped when you're playing against the hordes who have more operatives than you, and you kill one guy, that's not going to be good enough. You need to kill, fight, and shoot someone else, which is normally how elves beat the horde teams. So Mandrakes can flip the script a little bit by being able to charge on conceal, and then suddenly all the horde teams still have to get within 2. So if you ever make a small mistake on positioning, or they only leave one piece of bait out on the mid board, you can kill that piece and stay safe. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, and especially because Brothers can, with the Magus bar you, and Bloodeth can shoot into combat, that piece of tech becomes super relevant in that 2 pairings.
Yeah, because the Magus, for anyone who doesn't know, at this point, I think most people have seen it happen to them or their friends at some point, where the Magus looks at people in combat and kills your friendly operative in combat, because valid targeting is a separate concept that happens later in the core rulebook, and that cares about orders and whether or not there's something intervening, and has nothing to do on if you are in control range of someone else. So you can't hide in combat against the Psychers.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty gnarly.
Or against the Chaos Cultists.
I will add on one thing about that charge from conceal ploy. It against pretty much any team, if you can get at least 5 charges in the same turn, it's like the first one you just do 10 damage to a Space Marine and die. The second one you go in and kill him, and now you have a conceal order, and they need to either charge you where you Shadows Bite or get within 2 inches and shoot you. And if you hammer that guy also, I mean, you can get people to cluster up and then you blast them, and it works like clockwork.
So the thing with Mandrakes is they have so many amazing things going on. So all deploys. So normally the dash and the reroll are attacks that you need to pay from turning point 2 on. Maybe not the dashes, but turning point 2 you need dashes and rerolls. So you are going to be CP hungry because you want to heal sometimes, you want to fight first sometimes, you want to have one save from cover, for free. There is so many things going on that you need, and especially because you have a firefight ploy that go back to conceal, that you normally don't need the ploy to pay for the ploy, but on this specific scenario, it's really, really relevant.
Yeah. I mean, my plan is always go second on turn 2 if possible, and if I can't, then I'll like tone it down a little bit, and if I can, then I spend for everything except for the cover, so it's like the charge, conceal, rerolls, and the creeping horror, and then you try to get maybe 5 to 7 charges that turn, and you just get crazy value out of it. I mean, it's you can at that point you can afford to just have like one or two elves completely whiff and die for nothing, and there's not a lot of teams that can take that much heat in one turn, especially if like one of those also gets a Shadow's Bite, which is one of the 5 CP that you're spending for, and it's literally insane. And like bring chain snares because you're gonna be trapping Deathwatch Marines. You're gonna be like no one is gonna be safe from this. It's craziness.
Yeah, you can definitely pull some hyper aggro off because they are the only team with 12-inch charge threat range.
Yeah. Which is quite a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because we were complaining about, Canoptic Circle's got this free 12-inch line that gives them all of the command points, and all, or not command points, but accurate APL, comms buff, medic buff. And Mandrake's, each of them also kind of threatens that exact range, which is a big line.
Yeah, it's really big. The thing is, normally you are not taking it because you have only 9 operatives, and you will die. They are not as good as having one Necron, one warrior going in and shooting and whatever, because he's going to come back. Mandrakes are not coming back at all. So, yeah.
Finite resources versus infinite resources.
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
And I guess a big changeover for this is that Flank was strong going into this World Championship, and that definitely gave Mandrakes this new line of attack that before, you're kind of missing out on when you teleport. There's not really a lot of aggressive actions you can do, so you're stuck again. Obviously, Flank was a big changeover. Were there any other attack ops that you thought might be good before Worlds?
So we play test some tag ops, but the conclusion we arrive is that you are always playing flank. It doesn't matter. At this point, you want to play flank. We said, in Spain we say flank a lo que dé, and it's something like flank till the end. There are other viable tag ops. If flank gets super nerfed, you can have retrieval, you can have, different tag ops. But flank is so good because it pushes you to play the thing you are still playing. And because you have this big threat range and you can teleport, most of the time it's easy to manage to score them, to score at least 5 points, which is enough.
And for Mandrakes, it's because you get to drag people's attention all the way around the board, right? Because flank requires your opponent to come to your half of the board. On Mandrakes, after your opponent goes to your half of the board that you're fighting over, you just teleport to the other side, or you just run 12 inches along the back edge of your opponent's board to the other flanking. Now your opponent can't really catch up with you because you are faster than most people with the full 10 inches of movement.
Yeah, and way more maneuverable because you can teleport whatever. So if they are on one side, you go into the other. On Tom World, for example, it's pretty easy. You put someone on a teleport, and then you can teleport and teleport more people because you are a Mandrake after all. And on Volcus, you have the buildings where you can teleport and climb, teleport and go back, teleport and block, stuff like that.
And teleporting and blocking for Mandrakes is like you're putting your shadow portal and then rimming the edge of a vantage point so people can't finish a charge, right?
Yeah.
How many games did you actually get a lot of use out of, kind of the more tricky technical plays where you're like going on to a vantage and lining up a ring of Mandrake so there's nowhere for someone to land and charge? Did that actually come up? Or is that just kind of like a fun internet argument that gets brought up in, the Thunderdome and other places across the internet?
So I think I have been using the last floor of Volcus a lot because with Mandrakes is normally 1 point of flank for free. Other than that, against Chaos Cult, there was this map where the big Volcus on the middle, and I don't want him to hide on the Volcus, and I want to be there because I score flank. So I teleport one Mandrake and fall down with a dash. And then I teleport another Mandrake into the top roof, blocking the whole thing for him. He still managed to get me with the Torment, but because I was fighting first, with one reroll, I just survive. And then I fight again and kill the Torment. So yeah, there is a lot of stuff going on trying to block stuff. But there is not as important as it was before. I feel there is only one map or two where it's super, super relevant, especially against big bases models like Raveners, stuff like that. But other than that, there is not that much of blocking stuff going on, I think.
More of a fun mental exercise and like a thing that you see on the internet where people are demonstrating that they have read all of the rules and they know that they can put mandrakes on a thing and block people off.
Yep.
And you could just shoot from the back edge, but not really something that came up all that often. Although it did sound like against your game in the top 16 where you played against Chaos Cult, that was a thing that did come up and it was useful.
Yeah, it was useful. It's a useful tool to have, but you are not. There is no way you are spending like 5 mandrakes to block one Volgus healing. That's not useful. It's not as useful because you need to score points on the middle on the points, and the points are on the floor. So most of the time you don't care about that.
And then on Tomb World, you're really just getting a lot of value on the Shadow Portal, being able to set up on both sides of the room, and that way, in case anybody goes to chase down one of those, you just teleport to the other side.
Yeah. Well, and for me on Tomb World, the most value I have on the Shadow Portal is to extend the into the shadows ability, so you can, because on Tomb World there is a lot of cover. Cover, light
There's
cover.
a lot of shadows. There was that small brief period of time last edition when we were saying that shadows only come off of the pillars. Those, that rule is gone. So now it's just, if you're next to a wall, you're in shadow, which is horrifying against Mandrake.
Yeah. So, but still there are so many open rooms in Tomb World that you need to extend the ability to move. And you need the Shadow Portal to being able to do this. So yeah,
so the Shadow Portal position is really important for getting the creeping horror extra movement, because otherwise there's going to be spots where you actually can't finish the rest of the charge because of the door or people blocking. So having that extra 1 inch of shadow helps you a lot as far as positioning in the big open rooms, I assume.
Yeah. The Shadow Portal and the heavy barricade, of course, if you need it, is really good. Yeah.
Sculpt the amount of shadows on the battlefield.
Yes.
How have you found your thoughts on, the equipment going through the multiple different editions of Kill Team? We went from picking up 10 equipment and then having to assign it to this new edition having generic equipment, and now we have, more specific stuff coming down the line. It feels like where each team has these 4 things that are maybe faction rules, but maybe not quite. Do you like the changeover?
So I love the change from being 10 equipment points where you assign someone to a model to 4 equipment points where all the team can have this special ability at some point, because it gets less cognitive load where you put your grenade, you put whatever. You just have 2 grenades and 2 crack grenades, and you can use whatever you want. It gives you more flexibility, and I think it's more fun. Because before the last edition, we have a problem where we have so many grenades going on, so many teams that doesn't have grenades, that they are less good. So they are not as good because they don't have grenades on the equipment. So I think the change was really good. It was a really good change into the new edition, I would say. Now, I feel like sometimes there is equipment that you need to use to make the faction work for some kill teams. I don't know if I like that so much. I think if it's so necessary, then it should be a rule on the kill team. The equipment should be something you use to adapt. So, for example, Blaze of Cain with 4 equipment, they need that 4 equipment to work. So sometimes you need a smoke grenade, you need a barricade, you need to not pick something that is super important for you, and it's really, really, really difficult, really, really weird for them.
Yeah, there's a couple teams where, like Vespid are one of them, where one of the rules is you just get an extra inch of movement a bunch of the time. So you kind of feels weird to kind of skip out on it.
Yeah, sometimes this is super good. But for Mandrakes, for example, there is not like a super essential equipment at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of tech pieces, right? Like when you're playing against a smaller team, or that you're going to be getting in, maybe the chain snares are good because every once in a while your opponent will try to fall back, and then you get basically like a free win in those situations.
Yeah. And the blast one is brilliant most of the times. Of course, stun grenades.
What it reads is on demand lethal 5 when you really need it.
Yeah, and of course stun grenades, because they manipulate the way the saves work for the opponent. They are super good. Probably the only equipment I pick always. But yeah, they are way more
And that gives them
versatile.
more strategic flexibility compared to some of
Yes.
the teams that are more locked into their
Yes.
choices, where you get to the table and you're like, oh, I'm going to have to take these three. So I either get barricades or I get grenades, and then
Yes.
making some like really, really deep trade-offs for that second piece of generic equipment, which can suck.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah. So it's one of the strengths of the Mandrakes. To be honest, I will pay if I can get something to destroy the walls on the Tom World, because they are super difficult to manage. They are super difficult to go
I
for
did have
Mandrakes because you don't have any way to do it with one APL.
Yeah, I did have a player who mentioned that getting stuck on that side of the map
Yep.
in Tomb World, where all they had was breachable walls for two separate
Yep.
games, was really painful. I was like, yeah, it does seem to suck.
It's really difficult for Mandrakes. I think it's probably the worst team right now that they suffer, because all the other teams, most of the other teams, have one way or other to destroy the walls for one APL, or being
Something
3
with, like,
APL
the
native.
Grenadier rule or the accessible
Yes.
rule or something, where the
Something.
breachable is not necessarily going to matter. And it's interesting because most of the time those breachable walls aren't really in a position where they matter a ton. But there is a handful of Tomb World maps where
Yes.
one side is going to have to interact with a breachable wall at an awkward time, unless you are
Yes.
a straight up 3 APL model.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Because I definitely saw at Worlds, the Death Watch at the moment have a very cute little like tricksy play where the little serval skull drops the breachable charge,
Yes.
and blows up the wall, and then the operative hasn't done a shoot or charge, so he's allowed to then charge and shoot. So you can have a 3 APL operative blow the door and still do the charge and fight.
Yes.
I guess is kind of crazy, and I definitely had that come up a lot when I was walking around at Worlds.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff. How has the growth of the Spanish kill team scene changed over time? Obviously, I think early on it was you, your brother, and a couple other guys that were really pushing the scene forward. But I think, for me talking to you on the podcast in person over the last couple of years, it's been like a growth, and also not just like the growth of the kill team scene, but also having different competitive groups spring up and then kind of become their own little subgroupings, right? Because early on it was your group. Now it feels like Spain has a couple of groups that are all kind of pushing.
Yeah, the thing is, before there was like Madrid, my city was pushing super hard to stuff, and there was other people like Lazarus or Java that were pushing on his own communities. But right now, I think still Madrid is a really good community and really competitive with ESCU, Netra. There are more people arising at other ways. Wallace from the north, I don't know, a lot of people, or Ruben from the south, that he is top 8, I think, on the WCW. So there is no new people coming in. There is some people left in the community, or having a step back in the community. But yeah, there is more people coming. There is more people growing the game in Spain. I think we are now the third country. There are the States, UK, and then us in total players, which is understandable because we are way less bigger than that countries. But still, we are like super proud and super big, super proud to have like this huge community. So we are just, for example, we have a tournament in February in my community that I am TOing, and we have now 72 people for that event, which is a lot. Understanding that there is not
anything past 30, 40 people is a big tournament. Once you have to have the 6 rounds, it is a real big thing.
Yep. And we have in Spain we have like 4 to 5 big tournaments on the year, which is a lot. So the community is still healthy, still growing. So yeah. We are going to still have like more years of being in a good position to play on the international events, I would say.
Do you feel like your current win at the World Championships is going to get more Spanish players to I think play or go to Worlds and try to push to win Worlds, and bring more people into the community?
I think so, yeah. So from Las Vegas, I have a really close friend called Kikems. He's really close for me, and he said when he saw me in Las Vegas, he was saying like, I want to be with him the next year in there. So it's something that makes your community grow, and that makes your community proud, and understanding that it's possible for everybody to achieve that. Everybody can, if they play enough kill team, if they think enough about kill team, they can achieve these kind of things. So yeah, it motivates. It is an engine for the community. Yeah.
And
would
it's
say so.
interesting to hear that you're both a very competitive player and you're also TOing for your local community. Do you
Oh
feel
yeah.
like the TOing side is going to be where you're heading towards, or are you're still in it to win it next year?
I don't know. So the thing is, for the next year, I think I will have a little step back because I am trying to focus on my family now. Because I am trying to have a baby and stuff like that. So it's going to be like a difficult time to having a lot of games of Kill Team that I need to be able to compete. So I like to be TO. I love to make enjoyable games and make enjoyable parties for the people and meet the community. So you don't need to compete to anyone. So you just need to have drinks with them, and that's really cool. As you know, Travis, it's really cool that you are there for the conflicts, but you don't need to compete to anybody. So everybody, if you make a good job, everybody gets to love you, and you will have a lot of words of people that saying that you make a great job, and that's something that is really warm and is really cool as a TO. If the people around you say thanks, I really it's really good because in Spain at least we get like zero revenue from the tournaments, so TOs doesn't get paid. We get paid from the food and that's it. So yeah, sometimes we have gifts from the community like a painted kill team, whatever, a lot of things. So it's really good enjoying the vibe as a TO and making the best tournament you have for the people is really enjoyable, I would say. So maybe I will start getting more in the TO or refereeing thing. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, it's always a fun transition, I think, and it's an important one
Yeah,
for the growth of the scenes because at some
yeah,
point people do need to run the tournaments that people are going to come up in.
yeah. I agree, 100%. Yeah, most of the competitive players in Spain TO at least one event. So
Yeah, and it's good to know what the stressors are like on both sides, right? Because
yeah,
when you're just a competitive player and all you're seeing is your gameplay, you can lose what is going on in the background. When someone comes over to your table, gives you a call that you're not happy with, it's
yeah.
easy to be frustrated in those moments. But once you've seen the other side where you're looking at, 20 players or 20 different tables with all their tiny little problems, you can see why people have to make those sorts of calls. And it can help you grow kind of as a person. And, as a community
Yeah,
lead, it's always nice to kind of get a sense for where players are at. And that's something
yeah,
like all three of us get to do.
yeah, and it's good to be honest. If you go into a referee and because if you ask for a ref, it's because you want a decision. So if the ref makes a decision, you can be in agree or not, but you keep playing. And after the game, if you are like super super against that decision, you can talk because after all, TOs are humans and they make sometimes mistakes. And you as a human, as a player, also makes mistakes. It doesn't matter. It is okay to make mistakes as because we are humans. We make mistakes all the time. So it's easy for a TO to interpret in a bad way a rule or it doesn't matter. You just need a ruling. You get a ruling so you can move on your game. That's it. That's
Yeah,
how I see TOs, to be honest.
it's good to keep the games moving, and for the
Yeah.
most part, it's fun because as a TO, every once in a while you'll like make a call, and then someone will push back a little bit, and you're like reading like, oh, I was wrong, and it's good to be able to know,
Hmm.
those moments.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to be understandable as a TO, but still firm with your decisions. This is my final call. That's it. And as a player, it's like, okay, keep moving. Let's go. You can see me, you cannot see me. It doesn't matter. I don't see how many rule calls do you have at WCW other than visibility and stuff like that or
Yeah,
movement.
it was interesting. For me and the rest of the guys, I think we felt like there was an increase in the number of questions, and it wasn't just like visibility stuff because now
Hmm.
we're pretty deep into this current construction of what Kill
Hmm.
Team feels like, where most operatives have two actions. You can kind of get a sense for what a specialist does, but now
Hmm.
people are like finding like these weird edge cases, or they're
Yes.
talking about at Worlds pretty consistently. This is going to be the first big tournament, or like one of the first couple big tournaments with the new set of rules. Last year we
Hmm.
had the whole changeover with
Yep.
with the new TAC up deck and the new teams, and then this one we had the new TAC up decks. So at Worlds, it is the time when all of the most competitive people are like, "What about this edge case?" You're like, "Okay, well, we'll figure this out now."
We will see. Yeah, yeah. It's just difficult, because of course competitive players are going to bring you into a net for rules because they want
Yep.
to do something that probably not even the game designers thinks about it. So it's
Mhm,
cool to
mhm.
see that.
Yeah, and actually on that note, you've been at the World Championships, throughout the whole thing. And we've had different philosophies on what that championship event is going to feel like.
Hmm.
In the first one that we went to, the really small 8-person event, that one was really, the rules were pretty stable by the time we hit
Hmm.
that event. But
Yep.
obviously, since then, the rules have not been particularly stable going into the World
No.
Championships of Warhammer. Do you like the fuzziness of the
Mm,
early edition stuff or the new tack up stuff? Or do you prefer, because I think WTC ends up being
yes.
a little bit more of the stable tournament where people have
Mm,
like done a little bit of the metagaming and people have plans. Do you have a preference on what kind of
so
tournament you enjoy?
I think I prefer WTC because the rules are more stable and we have more experience, and I think is where you can see the peak of the players' skills. Because for example, for this tournament, like I was able to get like 10 games of the new edition, something like that. So I mean I was prepping for WTC and I play a lot for that tournament. So the games feels mostly the same, but not for the tag ups, not for the meta stuff like that. So I think the peak of skill of the events is WTC, and I love to see what my opponent can bring to the table and what can I bring to the table. And so I prefer that stable meta in that where we are all playing the same for so long. So yeah.
So the World Championships has been more about like looking at the broad rules, figuring out where a small edge that people don't expect is, rather than, at WTC where people have more stable strategies and you're looking at, this person should be pretty practiced on whatever it is we're on.
Yeah, yeah, it should be that way. You should know you should have a deep knowledge of all the teams and especially your team on WDC because you have been practicing with them for 1 month or 2 months, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, Worlds has been an interesting one for the last couple of years because it has been a big shakeup basically right before Worlds, for better or for worse. I think, from looking at how the games progress, last year we had a lot of the gigantic Marine teams were obviously,
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
and we were all thinking maybe Warp Coven can get beat by Inquisition agents, but actually right underneath the
No.
Inquisition agents was just more Warp Coven.
Yeah, no. There's no way. And for this tournament, it was interesting because there were two philosophies I would say to approach this tournament. Is you can play Can of Tech or Deathwatch, or you can have an answer for that because all the people on top 16 they have an answer for that both for that two teams I would say. So Felgor have play, Mandrakes have play, stuff like that. So there is only two ways you play them or you can play against them. There is no other way.
Yeah, that definitely seemed like the philosophy going into it. And then
Hmm.
I think everyone that wasn't playing those teams had a pretty good tournament where like the
Yep.
meta game right after the S tier teams or the meta cut
Hmm.
S tier teams, actually looking at the World Championships event was pretty good. And even, me and
Yep.
Jason on our Patreon show where we talk about the stats, the meta looks pretty fun at the moment. There's a lot of
Yep.
different things that are playable. Yeah.
If you eradicate Canoptech and only Canoptech to be honest, I think the meta is pretty good.
Yeah, 'cause
Even with
Deathwatch are
the
not
wolves, it's pretty good.
Yeah, Deathwatch are not so overpowered going into the
I agree.
metagame. Like they still have weak points because at the end of the day, you're very powerful, but you're 5 dudes who will
Yes.
absolutely get interacted with early. Unlike the Raveners being good, because Raveners are good because you had 5 dudes that would not get interacted with at all
Yes.
until they were ready.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I mean, we are all panicking when we see the Deathwatch rules on the early days, but I was like, yeah, but they are still 5 guys. They need to be resilient. They need to because
They
at some
need to feel
point,
overpowered because otherwise they will
yes,
be not playable.
yes, pretty much. That's pretty much it. They need to feel overpowered. They need to have all these cool rules going on because if not, they are going to get erased from the field on turning point 2 or 3, and that's it. That's game. So yeah, I think a lot of players have found strategies to deal with Deathwatch. Not so much against Canoptech because the game they make is really not interactive at all. Like I have these spiders, you're not going to be able to kill them. I have expendable warriors that are going to play the game, play the missions for me,
And
and
also
that's it.
suicide in and blow up
Yes.
I said like basically they remove horde teams by each of these
Yeah.
small Canoptech macrosites can kill 1 7 wound guy pretty consistently. It's not like 100%, but it's close enough.
Yes. And they have a lot of things going on. Just a scratch, healing, stuff like that. And it's like, okay. They are different. I have way more fun playing into Deathwatch, to be honest, than Canoptic.
And then going into the Dead Silence metagame, what are you
Mhm.
excited for? Because now we're looking forward into the future. Obviously, you've got the 70-person tournament. We got the 2 new teams. We got the stealth suits, and obviously everyone's favorite boogeyman at the moment, the new the new Marines, the new Phobos.
The new Wolf Scouts.
Yeah,
So I have been playing.
and how it's kind of like the Spanish metagame taking
So I have
on
been.
the new challenge.
I have been playing a little of Wolf Scouts. I think we are having the same effect with the Deathwatch before. Like they look super. I mean, they are more of a gatekeeper than the Deathwatch was, because they have like the only big problem they have for me, is the less one attack on the Storm. I think this is the biggest thing that is going to keep some teams to being able to beat them. Other than that, yeah, they are powerful, but they don't shoot particularly good. Yes, they have plasma weapons. I understand, not as good, because you don't have any rerolls going on other than the pretty shields. So most of the time, you can shoot into another team, sorry, and you're not going to be able to kill them. So, yeah. Other than that, I think they are really fun to play, really, really good, really competitive. I wouldn't say they are as good as Canoptech, for example. There is like a big gap between that two teams. And I expect that when is the next balance data slate? January, February?
I think we got
December?
ours in
January?
October effectively, so January, February.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So
we got ours right before Worlds.
Right before Worlds.
October.
How much do you enjoy that, having a data slate just before Worlds?
I mean,
It was
luckily for the Worlds people and for the whole community, we did get it ahead of time, and then it was immediately leaked onto Reddit, so
yes,
it was fine for
it
me.
was crazy. So yeah, I think if Canoptech gets nerfed and Deathwatch gets a little bit undertuned, we can have like a really good meta going on. I think I think there are a lot of teams there or almost there. Like I am going to start playing Place of Cain again, because I love them, and Vespids, because why not?
Vespids are
Vespids
fun.
are really fun and really tough. Yes, and they are super cool, especially into Wolves. If you don't play that matchup, try it. Maybe you will change your opinion on the Wolves. Yeah.
The Wolves' weakness is going to be getting shot to pieces at weird ranges, or like you just outmaneuver them, because at the end of the day they're fast, they're strong, but there are only 5 of them, just kind of like Deathwatch. Obviously, the Wolf is annoying, but the Wolf is just going to be a one-time annoyance.
And it's a weakness for the team, to be honest. Like, you have not a 13 guns Space Marine, but a Wolf. And you can hunt the Wolf if you are maneuverable enough, for example, with Mandrakes or with Aquilons. Things like that can hunt the Wolf. And if they lose the Wolf early on the game, really difficult time for the Space Marines.
Yep.
Yeah.
I also want to point out that the melee on the Vespids is surprisingly better than you would expect, because with all the like ceaseless lethal 5 shock, you can poison inject for an extra D3, and they only have 3 dice in the first place, and they just use it insanely efficiently. That's like that's like a very good answer for the Wolf Scouts.
Yeah, and less 1 damage too. So sometimes you are not going to get killed. It's difficult, and they have all the weapons from the Vespids. It's really they are 11. So, and they shoot really good. So yeah, it's difficult. They also put poison, so the leader can get killed in one shot. I don't know. There is a lot of stuff going on for the Vespids. Maybe the next threat on the meta. So beware.
All right, you guys heard it here, folks. World Championship winner. Vespid is the new meta.
It could be. If Canoptech gets nerfed, there is a lot of things that are going to arise, I think, that are just waiting there to have a moment on the meta. Yeah.
I think the metagame looks pretty good, even with Canoptech, being some part of the metagame. If they get just a little bit of a change, it'll be a little bit worse. I think it'll be good, because they are an interesting team. If, the Expendable Warriors are not the most amusing to fight against.
Yeah. So what are you guys doing on your communities with the classified, not classified teams?
So I'm doing one more declassified tournament coming up, and then on the new year, I'm going to switch us all over to classification just for a little bit, for maybe the first quarter, just to get a sense for how it feels for everyone to just have 26 odd teams to focus on rather than like the full spread of 40. But obviously different communities have different things. Dakota over on the west coast of the US is keeping some of the teams, but not all of the classified teams.
Oh, that's interesting.
Forward. So I think he's removing the white dwarf teams among some of the other ones, just because those are the most annoying to buy probably.
Okay.
Like you can't buy Hunter Clade as a team. You have to buy like 4 boxes and then magnetize everything and go slowly insane. Jason, what's your stance in the Minnesota area?
Well, I think for like the casual, I mean, most of our tournaments are super casual, super low key, and we're probably going to let everyone run whatever they want, so totally declassified. And I think the next big event that I'm kind of starting to sketch out is probably going to be like an epic narrative thing, because I feel like we can churn up probably a pretty big crowd for that, so then that'll be declassified, play whatever you want, and like goofy missions and custom kill zones and stuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah, pretty casual over here.
What about in Spain?
So I think every community has their own rights to do whatever they want, pretty much. But the big events, we have our own association, so the big events are going to be classified, 100%. So our 70 people, we are playing into classified. Also, it's interesting that we are playing Volcus, Into the Dark, and Tom World. The whole three things.
Yeah, because in the Dark and Tomb World do not really feel the same.
I agree. Yeah. So we are going to have
distinct play patterns.
Yes, they have half Volcus, yes, and then half Into the Dark, half Tom World. So and because also it's also cheaper for us because there is not as many Tom Worlds as we have done Into the Dark.
And no beta decima, obviously.
No beta decima. We don't speak in beta decima, sorry.
Okay.
Which is a pity, to be honest. I think it's a pity. It's a big pity.
It is a big pity.
That beta decima is not good. Yes.
If you play it on a regular board without the water, it is significantly more fun. That's been the thing that's been my next round of like, how do we, because I keep on wishing that we could make beta decimal work. And like, put it on a regular board. It's a lot better.
Okay. We can try that. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, the terrain is cool. Ultimately, I think the problem is that like the visuals of playing on the terrain are actually pretty good because you've got the nice layers of models all over the place, which is nice. It's just when you can't move around the board, you're like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do except for run along these 4 lanes and then get shot or not get shot.
That's pretty much it. The thing is, and you can block so efficiently all the way to most of the team. So it's really weird to play, I would say. So other than that, I will love to be able to play on beta decima because we have been 3 years with only 2 layouts, which is bad for the game. So yeah. Hopefully the next terrain they have is a good one. So finger close, because I think they have made like a really good, in my opinion, a really good effort with Tom World because they feel different. And in my opinion, they are more enjoyable. They are more deep, I would say, or different kind of deep than Into the Dark. And I think they have made like it's easier to build, which is really good. I have still nightmares with the last WCW with the flagging Into the Dark, and it happens to my own community. So it's not something that is in the States. It happens in my own community. It's really difficult to build that and paint that without make them flying. And with Tom World, the way it builds up is way easier. And I like the interactions with the teleport pad, stuff like that. So yeah, I am enjoying a lot the deep and the complexity of
for anyone who thinks the teleport pads aren't particularly useful, let me tell you, the number one question I got asked at the World Championships was, what does a teleport pad do? So it got used a lot at Worlds.
Yes, it's really useful, and it's really, it opens for a lot of play. So yeah, take some attention on the teleport path. They are really, really good.
Yeah, you just have to get to the point where you're looking for the lines before it becomes useful. And obviously Space Marines get a little bit of extra value because you can kind of bait people by dashing and then teleporting and throwing a grenade where your opponent is not expecting it. But then for the teams that are really wide, you can go set up a dude for Envoy because there's one of those maps where there's a box and there's no reason to go in the box except for Envoy. You just teleport a dude. Like, all right, come get me.
And still, you can make some really fun and enjoyable threats where you have one guy with a grenade on the teleport, and on the other side there is another dude from the enemy with another grenade, and it was like a pistolier duel. Whichever one goes first, it gets erased. It gets really bad. So it's really enjoyable, I would say.
You can also use Creeping Horror to dash onto the teleport pad and then activate
Yes.
teleport across and enact violence. And if you've got a couple
Yes.
of them staged so that they're within shadow and they're touching the teleport pad, you can do that multiple times. And then if they teleport across, it has to be a charge. And then you can Shadow's Bite fight first.
Yes. Yeah, you can do a lot of tricks with the
Smart, man.
teleport. Yes, you can dash into a teleport and then teleport wherever and shoot or whatever. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I do think that GW has done a good job, I think, of Tomb World and Volcus. Of this edition, all the new
Yes.
terrain has been distinct. It feels good. It feels like an evolution of what came before it. You know, it just at scale, holding a lot of Volcus terrain is kind of annoying because it can break.
Yeah, it can break a lot, yeah.
I've had to do my fair share of repairs so far.
Yeah, but I think it's good for an open terrain. I love it. I love it more than Octavius even. So
Yeah,
I
I
think
kinda
they make a good job. Yeah.
I kind of wish that there was a couple more places where light terrain mattered so that shooting teams could shoot a little bit.
Yes.
Because right now Volcus is very heavy, which means
Yes.
that most of the time that vantage rule where you're shooting is not really going to do all that much, or normally your opponent is going to get 2 retains. Like they've really devalued the shooting teams there.
Yep.
And then on Tomb World, it's kind of opened up a little bit because a lot of the shooting teams have some version of Seek Light floating around somewhere. So there at least is some terrain that you're going to be using, but it's not quite the same as like a shooting team on old Octarius where every once in a while your opponent did have to make a hard choice.
Yes. Yeah. I think they are way too heavy for being an open place. So yeah, and we have the open terrains to be beta decima, but since we are not playing that,
Yeah, most places are not. I think a handful of communities still have it. It sounds like Jason's going to be trying with just a normal board and beta decima turn, which could be good too.
Yep.
Just because it fixes the main issue of you just can't go anywhere on the map.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, Ace. Thanks for coming on and talking a little bit about the 5-year journey, basically at this point.
Yeah, at this point it's 5 years. Yeah. So yeah, thank you to having me. I am super proud again to be here, and yeah, see you soon again, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, thanks for coming on. And of course, as always, thank you listeners for listening until the end.